Sally Watts, and I welcome you to our fellowship at the Senior Center. Yay! And we take pride in honoring the first people of this region, the Saiswa Indians, and who strive to protect the environment where we are today. And we give thanks to the tribe, past, present, and future generations. Nice deep breath. Full house today, very nice. So I'll ask that you rise as you are able. We're going to start by singing our opening song, hymn. It's called Spirit of Life. The words are on the program. I think you can probably follow along with Jeff's music very nicely. Jeff, take it away. Spirit of Life.
I just want to let you guys know, they're moving chairs. Out of here, it won't be long, I don't think, but if we hear racket, that's what it is.
Okay. Oh, thank you. We have the Latin flair.
Spirit of life, come to me, sing in my heart all the stirs of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice, roots holy clothes, wings set me free, Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Oh, very nice pace on that, Jeff. Thank you. So I remind everybody, how many people have had cell phones for more than a year or two? You know to turn them off or put them on mute, right? Okay. I'm going to remind you anyway. I do it for myself. And for those who've never been here before, the restrooms are back direction. We have a men's room and a ladies' room. What a concept. Versus our facility that just usually only had one and one share. You're invited to stay after service today. Ruth Miller will be here. I don't know where she's going to set up. Maybe sort of maybe out of the way a little bit so people can mingle a little bit. Make sure you stay. Okay, stay. She's also got an assortment of her books and materials for sale on the table here. I highly encourage you stop by and see what she has. Great books, great materials. All are priced at $12. Right? Anyway, do that, okay? And Catherine Hemmons, you're available to do some affirmative prayer. We'll go into the back room here shortly after Jeff unplugs the sound system. So we're going to trip on the way.
Oh, yes.
I know.
I'm not going to live that down.
I know, you're not going to live that way. You went down so gracefully. It's like slow motion. No OSHA claim. No workers' comp claim. Thank you for that. In your program on the right side, you'll see upcoming events and programs and things that we're involved in. We've got a couple of food hikes coming up on the 13th and the 20th. Food board meeting on the 13th at the Saiswa Public Library in the conference room. And we've got a Starlight Cabaret with Jeff Chandler. It'll be right here in this facility. Chris Chandler. What did I say?
Jeff.
Well, that's close. And Mark knows Chris, and he knows Jeff. Mark just might be doing the introductions that night too, so just come, okay? I'm not sure how many seats we'll have available, however many chairs there are. We'll ask for a donation, and it will help to pay Chris and the rental of the room. So, anything else you want to say about that, Ruth? Is that good?
Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. So that's going to be on the 17th. Doors will open at 5:30. Concert will start at 6. You're welcome to bring your own beverage if you like. Food is kind of hard to do because everybody really has to remain masked as best you can. Just saying. And one quick thing, our new friends, Peter and Alison Hussman, they have a 24-foot motorhome, and they're looking for a place they can park it for a while. So if you have a space at your home or you know somewhere where they might park it starting July 15th, please let me know and I'll let them know. They couldn't be here today. And I know Mark is going to talk about this in a minute, maybe on the activism thing, to the resilience planning session.
Yeah.
Do you want to come talk about that now?
Okay.
Come on up.
Okay, can everybody hear me through my mask all right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm leaving it on. I'll talk about that during joys and concerns. But anyway, Let me get this right. I have two announcements. One of them is the Monday night city council meeting of next week. That's the 18th at 5:30 at City Hall. Mike Allen from the Climate Emergency Campaign is going to be again tendering his signatures. He has over 1,000 now, for the council to take up the issue of climate change here locally, which they have not done, not in any real consistent way. And so that's, he says he's inviting everyone. We'd like to have a good showing for his and all of our efforts to address climate change and to have the city council do so. And that's July 18th, Monday at 5:30. It's the usual time. Not the usual time, right? Okay. The other thing is, following that, on Thursday, July 21st, from 6 to 8 p.m., is Lane County's Coastal Communities Climate Resilient Strategies Workshop. Don't try to say that more than 5 times. That's why I'm reading it. You're invited to participate in resilience planning for the coastal communities in Lane County. This workshop will review those vulnerabilities and work to develop highly collaborative cross-sector resilience strategies. And we have people coming fresh off their the Eugene climate resiliency plan. They had a meeting, I think it was last week, and they're going to come over. It's going to be at the fire station on 101, 2625. I left some flyers on the table there if you'd like to have the information handy. You put it on your refrigerator, but don't bring the refrigerator with you. So, again, Thursday, July 21st, and it's sponsored by the Lane County Climate Resilience Campaign and Beyond Toxics. We had them come and speak in January, and they have a really enlightening, if not scary, PowerPoint presentation. So that's Thursday, the 21st, from 6 to 8 at the fire station. I think I got all that. Thanks.
Thank you. Question?
And you're gonna put the flyers over there?
Yeah, the flyers are.
Flyers are here. It will also be in the Wednesday e-blast newsletter. Ashley?
He's got 1,000 signatures. How many does he need? What is the goal?
Well,
What is the goal on signatures? I think he just keeps collecting and collecting and collecting and collecting.
yeah,
and
he's
collecting.
a lot of them are Florence residents. They're not all. You don't have to be with it. It's not an official, put it on the ballot thing. He's just going to keep getting people signed on until the council addresses it.
Okay, so it's not going to trigger an action. It is in hopes of triggering an action in the future. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
He's been collecting signatures now for well over a year, maybe 2,
3.
3. So if you can't come to city council, you can watch it on TV on the webinar.
That's right.
Can't remember what it's called. You can find it on the city's website.
We'd like to have some warm bodies there.
Okay.
You can even come if you're cold.
So are there any other announcements? Anybody else have an announcement to share? Yes, Don, you want to come forward? Don's going to probably talk about the free lunch program.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it going to be the first Thursday every month?
Yes.
Okay. I just did half of his announcement.
First of all, I'd like to thank Judy. She's been very supportive, helping me behind the scenes. And we actually requested when they planned this almost 10 months ago or 12 months ago, that I requested instead of us going every week, that we have the first Thursday of each month. And we're hoping to start in August. And Dr. Vicki Philman is the director from the Lawrence United Methodist Church, and she's in charge. She told me over the phone, we'd like to start up, and they will also offer, I don't have it in writing, just verbally, that they will reimburse you for your food card should you want to do that. we have, as a food organization, we have an excellent reputation with the church because we seem to always have the most generous volunteers that come in the past years to come out and really be helpful. I know sometimes you only need 3 to 5 people, but sometimes I've had 10 or 12, and they've all been graciously welcomed. Some never come back, but that's always been my policy. As long as I got 2 cooks and 2 people that want to serve or help prepare food, which is great. Anybody else wants to come, more the merrier, we'll find some work. We just get out quicker. So I hope you guys will consider being supportive of the program. Coming up the first Thursday of August, 1 day a month. Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll see more information in the newsletter on that as well, but Don has been very instrumental in getting that program continued, even during COVID, handing out tickets to Subway to help folks who are hungry and food deprived. So it's called the Free Lunch Program. It will be first Thursday every month, hosted by Foof, and he needs at least 5 people each of those first Thursdays, okay? Cook, clean up, serve, set up, but you all gotta be there to meet and greet these fabulous people who walk through the door, okay? Thank you, Don. Any other announcements for anybody? Do we have anybody here today for the first time and you would like to stand and introduce yourself? Yes.
Hi,
Great.
Santa. I know you don't recognize me.
Hello, Santa. We don't recognize you.
This is my daughter, Christiana.
Hello, Christiana.
She's visiting from Seattle.
Very nice. Thank you.
Welcome.
And Ruth is going to be bringing to you one of our gifts. It's a haiku meditations. And we offer that to you as our way of saying thank you for being here today. And I know Karen is here. Karen, right?
No. Betty.
Betty, right? Betty, well, it's 2 syllables.
It's
Karen,
okay,
Betty.
don't call me late for supper.
I won't call you late for supper.
I hear guys stinker over here.
So
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you for being here. Very much. Thank you very much for being here. So, let's see, what have we got? We're gonna light the chalice. I'm gonna, hold on just a second, Catherine, I know she's gonna help here. I'm gonna light this flame, and this is by Reverend David Kohlmeyer. He describes him, and I'm gonna share a little bit about who he is, because I think it's important. He described himself as a pastor, parent, radical theologian, occasional poet, and flawed human being. Originally from West Virginia with family roots in the Appalachia, going back over 2 centuries. David currently serves as the minister of the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where he lives with his husband, 2 children, Old English sheepdog. Is it old English, or is it just Old English? Could be a young Old English sheepdog. And 2 rabbits. This is titled Reminder of the Inner Light. Catherine, would you help light the flame? Thank you. So this flame is a reminder of the light within us all, the yearning for freedom, the longing for truth, the flame of intuition, the torch of conscience. We dedicate this service to the remembrance of this holy light. Catherine's going to share our joys and concerns. Microphone should be okay for that.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me well? Okay. This is a time we share our joys and concerns. We do this to share part of ourselves that, this is a big community. We don't know everything about everyone. When we share our joys, it encourages everyone, because if we're not feeling joy, we know that it's down the road anyway. And when we share our concerns or our sorrows, it touches that deep place in each one of us that has always comes around to that feeling as well. Anyone would like to come up and share? You can drop a shell into the water.
If you'd like to come on up, come start walking up if you have something you'd like to share.
Yes, please line up.
Okay, I have a joy and a concern. The joy is that I went down to California 2 weeks ago. I stayed for a week. I wasn't here last week because I was picking up the balloon payment from the land that I sold down there. And I came back up here and I paid off my place in Florence. But do not labor under the misconception that I now am rich. I still am broke because I used it all up. The concern is, I mentioned, I'm keeping my mask on, I'm just being doubly protective. I know 6 people who have the new variant here, and I know there are more. At least 4 of them are members of Booth, and I guess I can tell you who they are. Yeah, okay, Nick and Maggie Miller, they tested positive.
Chris and Maggie.
Chris and Maggie, and David Daniel and Carol. And I'm not sure how they're doing. I just got back a little while ago and learned that. And just to say that this thing is, it keeps waving goodbye but not leaving. So let's all be real careful. I haven't been around them for a month, so I'm not quarantined or anything like that. And maybe check in with them. I'm going to do that later today.
Mark, in addition to the 4 you mentioned, there are at least 5 more members who have and are recovering from COVID. So
Wow.
9 or 10 altogether, just amongst the people.
So hence, we're all wearing masks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you pass that down?
Drop your show. I do know that David and Carol are doing much better recovering, so that is a bit of news. But again, caution for everyone.
Hello, my name is Ryan or Joy. I have 4 months clean and sober.
Karen, we need a name tag for him.
And you know, Ryan, I noticed you've been coming here since you started your program of recovery, so I, for one, am happy that this is part of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Vanessa, and my joy is, of course, being here with all of you, because I don't get to spend that much time here, just bouncing around a lot. But this is still the place I describe as home, so thank you all for having me.
And our very own Ruth Miller.
Thank you, my dear. So there's a rumor going around, and it is true. So the sadness is, I am no longer going to be based in Florence, but I will be here every week, because I have a radio show, and I have this wonderful group to participate with. So I will be in town on a regular basis. The story is, I had invested in a little place in Walport for one of my business partners to live in, and we were rehabbing it, and someone had come to visit this house, and they sent me a letter saying, I really want to buy it, I'm going to offer the top that you can get for it. And I went, oh. So I am almost done with the final touches here, and I'm almost ready for the plumber up there. And living out of the bathroom sink when I'm up there. And so this is my last week here as based in Florence, but my heart remains. So thank you all.
Ruth will continue to be with us on her Sundays, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
And she's going to be doing a 7-part series on our UU Principles of Faith. And so that's going to be, I don't know when those will be. She's also going to do some special holidays, etc. So we ain't done with her yet.
By no means.
As much as she tries to wander.
It's the spirit calling.
So I have something to share about Helen Hartman. Some of you know she went through a procedure for cancer, and she is cancer-free and wanted me to tell you about it. So I was looking at this the other day in my intention group, my Power of 8 group, And you know, if we take care of ourselves and love ourselves, then we are really there. We're strong enough to be there for others. So it's the loving themselves first. Deep in the center of my being, there's an infinite well of love. I allow this love to flow to the surface. It fills my heart, my body, my mind, my consciousness, my very being, and radiates out from me in all directions and returns to me multiplied. The more love I use and give, the more I have to give. The supply is endless. And so it is.
So it is.
That is so nice. Thank you for providing those insights every week, Catherine. They're just fabulous. So we do have, we're going to sing again, okay? Masks and all. And it's We'll Build a Land. The words and the music are in your program. And Jeff, are we going to do all 4 verses, or what do you suggest? The first 2? We're going to sing the first 2 verses. We're going to follow along Ruth, because she has a lovely voice. I know, and Jeff has fabulous music. And everybody got program the music? Okay. So whenever you're ready, Maestro. So we do have a very special person with us today to give us a wonderful message. I title it Spiritual Activism. I know there's a longer title that Ruth likes to use, and I'll let her talk about that in a minute. But Ruth's going to deliver her message on our 5th principle, and she'll talk about that as well. I think she's going to finish by having maybe a nice quiet meditation. Jeff will play some music as well, and then we'll conclude with our offering, etc. So please, welcome Ruth Miller.
All right. Is the mic in a good place?
Yeah.
All right. Someone would like me to lower it. Is that a better place?
Oh, much better.
Ooh, like that. Oh, my goodness. Well, you seem to have all recovered from the shock of the states' rights decisions that are Supreme Court.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I modified my talk for today.
We're grieving.
I know. Many people are grieving because of expectations that have failed, because of misunderstandings that have been continued, because of pain that is being caused, and because of potentials for the future. And it's scary. And it was interesting because those decisions affected virtually everything we care about, not just, human rights and physical issues, but also we had decisions affecting the arms, the right to bear arms, and we had decisions that affected the environment and the sovereignty of those peoples who live on the North American continent in the boundaries of the United States. I don't know if you're all aware of that last one, but there were actually 3 decisions that affected their sovereignty. And that's when my gut got it. The other ones I was half expecting, that was what it. I was not expecting that. Oh my. So what do we do? What do we do when there is just one more painful indicator that everything that we were told this country stands for, that we were told civilization is about, everything that we have lived our lives based on, seems to be crumbling around us, and some people seem to be tearing it apart intentionally. Well, I'm going to add something to what I'm going to say today, because it turned out that Nin was having a problem getting her book formatted. And so I agreed to take it on, and of course that meant going through it a few times, and I thought it was done and it wasn't. So I had to go through it a couple more times. And this is a book about building a land based on peace, building a land based on individual freedom, building a land in which different spiritual paths are honored, and building a form of community based on the democratic process as practiced by indigenous peoples all over the world. So it was a really marvelous, rich context to come into this talk with, and I thought perhaps this song could be the theme song for Meshka and the Goddess. What does it take to build a land where our highest dreams, values, and ideals are the norm? Well, I think the first step is getting in touch with those highest dreams and values. And being clear that we don't have any conflicts in our own inner sense of what's right. And most of us do. We were all raised in this culture, and this culture has trained us to think that some things are more valuable than others, that some people are more important than others, that some ways of doing things are going to be more effective than others, and we have to do them those ways. And to the extent that we continue to hold any of those, to the extent that we are triggered by whatever anyone else says or does, we need to clean it up. And that really is the first step. To see what makes me upset, and then to realize that there is some conflict in me that is trying to express itself in this circumstance. Meshka had very wise words for this, but I won't be doing a sermon based on Meshka. I'll let Nin do that. So when we encounter this stuff, literally our first step has to be, oh my goodness, that's a conflict in me. Where is that conflict? How can I dissolve that conflict so that I can go back to what I truly value? Now, we're Unitarians, right? And we have these principles that I thought were published on our flyer, but aren't, right?
No, they're in the hymnal.
They're in the hymnal, and we're not using the hymnal. So, be aware that we have these principles, and if you don't have a copy, because I know you don't have a hymnal, it's in our newsletter, it's on our website, it's on the Unitarian Universalist Association website, and if you're absolutely desperate, go to my website and send me an email, I'll send you a copy. And And if we were in a place where we could do PowerPoint, I'd be showing them to you now. All right, we honor the diversity in our world. We accept one another and encourage spiritual growth. We promote justice and equity. And we can go all the way down. We really work for a democratic process in our congregations and in the global community. And we recognize that we are part of a web of life that goes on so far beyond each and every one of us, but none of us can operate alone. We are all affecting everything all the time. Now, I periodically do a talk about what's going on, in a class about what's going on in the world, and I'm here to say that what is going on is that other set of values that we were raised with are being dissolved and trashed. While these values that are recommended and recognized within the UUA principles in the context of the theology of Unitarianism, there is only one, and we are all included. Yes, that is what is the foundation for the world that is trying to be born as we go through this transition stage, shouting and yelling and swearing as the baby is crowning, and it is hard, and I want to go home now. Yeah. That's where we are, and that is what is happening. And so, our first step is, oh, I'm getting triggered. I've got to clean up some old conflicts. There's some old programming, some old training, some old ideas in here that are being presented to me in a way that I need to let them go. And then, oh, and this is what I stand for. This is who I am. This is the world that I see for us. And we claim that in the space we created by letting go of the old. Claim the vision with the highest ideals we can drum up, the Unitarian principles and beyond if you can. Oh my goodness, to know that this universe is this incredible, incredible process unfolding for the benefit of every single individual member. Oh wow. And for the benefit of the whole. When I know that, then I can then do the next thing. I can align my actions on those truths, on that knowing, on that understanding of how things truly are in this world, and how I intend not only my life, but all lives to be, because what I truly intend and what every single person on the planet actually intends, however misguided or misinformed they may be, that everyone thrive, that everyone feels safe and happy in the world. That's what they want. They just think how to get there is a little different from how we have thought. And watching people do things in a way that's so far from our intentions and expectations is painful when we are attached to those intentions and expectations. It's the attachment that gets us in trouble. The founding fathers of this country, many of whom were in their 20s at the time, the average age was 44, and that included Ben Franklin in the 70s and another guy who was in his 70s. Wow. They were mostly self-educated, but they valued education incredibly. They learned constantly. They read continually. In fact, John Adams sent a letter to John Quincy Adams at one point, his son, saying, "A man with a book of poetry in his pocket is never alone." That continual openness to new ideas and possibilities based on a strong and firm foundation of a range of possibilities and ideas from which each and every one of them had selected the ideals and values for which they were willing to sacrifice our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor in mutual support for the accomplishment of those ideals. Oh my. They listened, and they learned, and they fought, and they laughed. And if you really want to get into their experience, watch the musical 1776. It is fun and terribly accurate. There's only 2 or 3 glitches and they have no impact on the actual unfoldings. Wow. They were struggling very hard to bring forth their ideals, to make the world a place where ideals and our highest values could be our norm. And that, my dears, is the definition of a spiritual activist. To first know the possibilities, second, let go of the ones that don't work, third, claim the highest ideals and values you can find, most of which will conform to our 6, 7, now almost 8 principles of Unitarian Universalism and beyond. And from that place, work with others and discover what action truly is mine to be and do. And that was another piece. You know, George Washington was a lousy soldier. And he was a pretty poor colonel. But he became an incredible general by listening and learning. Listening and learning. It happens one of my ancestors worked with him on his first expeditions in the French and Indian War. So this is almost a personal story. John Adams grew up in a household without literacy. There was a Bible. John Adams taught himself to read, and through the local library, educated himself. And an apprentice as an attorney gave him real clarity about what the rules were that he could work with to bring about those ideals. Meanwhile, his wife Abigail was teaching his kids Greek and Latin and Hebrew at home. Yes. To be able to look at a broad range of possibilities, to draw on many different times and cultures, to be able to extend and expand my ideas of what those values could look like based on that is a part of being a spiritual activist. And so we have a record of Ben Franklin and a number of the leaders of the Continental Congress meeting with the heads of the Iroquois Convention. It's a different language, a different word in Iroquois, but that's the French term. And if you go online and you look for the agreement, the covenant that held together that convention, you will see an English translation of a French document in which they refer to the various lords in the indigenous peoples, gatherings and tribes and nations. And of course, that was an imposition of Western values on a community that would not even understand the term. So ignore that piece. leader is the best term we can use. And in that convention, there are agreements. It's laid out by the person who was given the task of actually laying it out and putting it into language. And he says that I am writing you this because we have agreed that these groups will get together in this way, and these groups will get together in this way, and these groups will get together in this way, and the leaders of each of them will come together, and then we will, when one of those groups calls us, all come together. That's basically the preamble. Then the next piece of that agreement is, and when we do, the group that is calling us will stand and give thanks to all of the trees and the rocks and the rivers and the animals and all the beings that support and sustain us. And when those thanks have been given, we will be called to get in touch with the Great Spirit. And then the fire will be lit, and then the deliberation shall begin. It's a little different from the U.S. Constitution, which says there will be two houses, and these people will be chosen this way, and these people will be chosen this way, and nobody who is this will be included. That's really the first beginnings of our Constitution. How? And nothing about the spirit in which the people will meet in those two houses. And nothing about how we are coming together to make things happen. And then it's the list of things that Congress can and can't do. I keep a copy, actually there are currently 3 copies on one of my bookshelves, of the Constitution and on my computer. And I go back to it periodically, and recently I went back, not just because of this talk, but because I read a Facebook posting in which an Australian says, why are you guys following a document written by men who didn't honor women or people of color 300 years ago?
Right? Right?
Ooh. I thought it was very nice for her to say that out loud. You know, Thomas Jefferson knew that the process that humanity lives by, and he said it on many occasions, needs to be honored, and that every 200 years or so we need to rewrite this thing. Well, gee, 200 years, 1976 to 1989. We got 50 years on that. I think it's time to relook at what our United States is. Now that's just in my range of actions because of how my mind works. That may not be where any of your spiritual activism lies. Yours may be making sure that those who are being left out of our system get the food they need. It may be creating a space where people of like minds can come together and share and be supportive of one another. It may be sewing, massage, any number of wonderful things that come from the inside out. Because that is the next piece. To be a spiritual activist, one must be driven from within, not from without. There are situations we are acting in, but there will always be situations, because there will always be people growing up, or people who misunderstand, or who are mistaken, or whatever. There will always be situations. If I'm always responding to the situation, I'm not centered in those values. So my activism cannot be against anything. As Mother Teresa said about 20 years after I'd been saying it, and I so appreciated her saying it publicly because I didn't know how, you know, if you have an anti-war demonstration, don't call me, but the minute you create a pro-peace demonstration, I'll be there. I grew up in the world of the nuclear power. My mother was involved in the first Fermi experiment. And our last arguments were her promoting nuclear power plants and me saying, what are you doing with the waste? And having grown up with that, I never attended an anti-nuclear demonstration, and I always promoted alternatives afterwards. So, that's what we want to do. That's where we need to be. As spiritual activists, clear and unconflicted in our own values and ideals. Clear about the vision of how we can be living and knowing that what has been is not permanent. We are not stuck with what has been. The final piece has to do with that radio show I mentioned earlier. Larry was given a list of topics. I said, I can talk about any of these things when you want. And he said, the science of consciousness. I went, okay. I'm just recorded show number 27. And all of that was from my notes in my books. I'm going to have to start looking elsewhere now. But what we understand about the nature of consciousness is it is not limited to the brain or the mind body. It is something that is around each and every one of us, penetrating all of us, and is creating a field that is inclusive of all beings who resonate with the unique pattern that each of us is. So there are people on the other side of the planet I've never met who resonate with me. And when, according to the theory of morphic resonance, I have an insight, I have an understanding, I take an action, it is easier for them to do the same. And I've seen that proven out over and over and over again over the last 30, 40 years. It is amazing. When we are clear and acting from and learning and growing and becoming who we truly long this world to be, people all over the world can do the same. And that is the piece that will make the fundamental difference for all of us. Don't get caught up in this fear and the scariness and the anger. When that comes up, discover what it is that wants to be released and let go, and replaced by the vision of who and what we truly can be. Thank you very much.
The last one? That's up to you if you need more light.
No, I'm
Good.
We went to some big spaces. Let's allow the body to relax in this new knowing, in this understanding that is part of who and what we truly are. And so let us breathe. We breathe into the body. We breathe into this moment of space and time. And as we breathe, we allow anything unlike our highest values and ideals to simply dissolve. With every breath, we release them, knowing that as we release them,
the goal of not perfection, but glorious, harmonious beauty and joy is ready to tumble in and replace them. And so we breathe in all the goodness and peace and joy that is available to us every moment of every day, the very quantum field in which we are immersed, this consciousness that we share, this universe that is always unfolding for the betterment of all. We breathe it in and we revel in it. And we give thanks that this is possible, that this is what we are here to be and do, here, now, and always. And we realize and we set the intention that every exhale will release everything that is no longer serving us or the greater good. And every inhale brings in more joy, more peace, more well-being for all beings. For that is what we truly are. And that is what we long in our hearts to experience. And so it is. Thank you all.
Spiritual activism, huh? I like that concept. Love that. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate both the quiet time and the music that goes with it. Very nice. So how y'all doing? Good day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good crowd here
Yes.
today. Good to see all of you. You know that we have a community partner every week, every day. We partner up with one of our agencies here in Florence. And the one that we have chosen for July and August is a group called Food Backpacks for Kids. I'm going to invite Tuvia to come on up. He's going to share a little bit about that particular group. He's also going to share the good news about money that we raised the last 2 months for, what group was that?
Friends of Florence.
Friends of Florence, the cancer van. So, Tuvia, come forth and tell us what you got.
I'm holding this check with 2 hands because it is so generous. It is so filled with kindness and love for our friends of Florence who take those who need help and take them into Eugene and to Springfield, and transport them there, transport them back with love. It's a check for $1,248. Karen and I and anyone else who would like to join our little delegation are going to make this check a presentation as soon as possible, and we'll have a picture that we can share in the blast. Backpacks for kids. No child should have to stand on a street corner and beg for money. No child should have to steal a loaf of bread to get enough food to eat. It is the rite of passage as a child to be nurtured physically and mentally and in the tummy. Backpacks for Kids and joins us with other organizations in Florence to ensure children have enough food to eat so that they can develop socially, emotionally, and physically. We are the big people they look to for this help and this hope, and we are there for them. It's all about love.
Yay. So we all know that generosity is one of our spiritual values, and we recognize it's central to our personal and institutional well-being. You're invited now to partake in our blessing, our giving. And I'm going to ask Karen if she will help pass our offertory basket. One side is a contribution to our fellowship. The other side is a contribution to Backpacks for Kids. It's a little awkward to pass it around, so she's going to kind of walk it around. For those that are listening at home or watching this at some point in time, if you'd like to make a contribution, you can do so by visiting our website and click on the donate button, or you can mail a check and make your reference that you would like some money to go to the community partner or some to food, and we'll take care of that. Our address is P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439. So at this time, I ask that you enjoy the music from Jeff and give as you are able. If the basket comes and you're not able to give, at least bless it with your love. Thank you.
I have to say, this is the theme song for Noetic Moments on KFCR.
The words for extinguishing our chalice come from the Reverend Darcy Rourke, a Unitarian Universalist minister who supports our association's stewardship work through our UUA Society for Stewardship, as well as preaching and teaching and connecting UU congregants across the United States. Reverend Darcy lives in New Orleans with her husband Adrian and son Sebastian, and she is enjoying getting to know our Unitarian Universalist congregations in the southern region. Reverend Darcy has a wide background in social justice, pastoral care in workplaces as varied as Oxfam America, Amnesty International, the United Nations, the Navajo Nation Public Defender's Office, and Massachusetts General Hospital. Reverend Darcy is currently a member of the Planned Parenthood Federation of America's Clergy Advocacy Board. I know, isn't that lovely? So I thought this would be appropriate for extinguishing our flame. It is titled, Each of Us Ministers to a Weary World. There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There is too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There is too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. So remember, Ruth will be here somewhere over in this area. Please come sit, join a conversation about her message today, how it touched you. Again, I love this spiritual activism process that you've got going in my brain, okay?
Good.
And also Catherine will be available for affirmative prayer. At this time, I ask that we form a big circle around all the chairs. If you feel like it, hold hands or lock arms. Jeff will be joining us when we get all of the circle complete. And we'll be singing our peace song. The words are on the program on the back. If you need to follow along with that.
So as soon as we're all ready, you're gonna hit the play button. This is beautiful. Are you ready? Oh, yes. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let